We are multiplying radicals today. Step one is going to be to make sure you simplify your radicals. So if I look at number 1 here, radical 27, I could break into radical 9 times radical 3, which would be 3 radical 3, and then still times radical 5. When I am then multiplying, I multiply the coefficients, so that'd be like 3 times 1, which would be 3 out in front. Then I'm going to use my product rule that says if I have 2 numbers, letters, whatever inside my radicals and multiply them, I get to just multiply them inside the radicals. So this becomes radical 15. And then I always need to double check to see if my final answer can be simplified any. That cannot, so I have 3 radical 15. Let's do one that can. So this is times a negative 2 radical 18. I'm going to start by breaking my radical 18 into square root of 9 times square root of 2. So that'd be 3 square root 2. Don't forget though it had the negative 2 out in front. So I really am looking at 3 radical 10 times a negative 6 radical 2. 3 times negative 6 is negative 8. 2 times 10 is radical 20. That breaks up, that simplifies. Remember radical 4 and radical 5. So this is really, let's see, square root of 4 is 2. So I'm going to have negative 18 times 2, that's negative 36, square root 5. Looking at other ones, maybe trying to make them more difficult. Down here, 3 radical 15 times 4 radical 12. Well, my 4 radical 12 will break up. Square root 4, square root 3, so that is 4 times 2 radical, that's 8 radical 3 times 3 radical 15. 3 times 8 is 24. 15 times 3 is 45, so 24 radical 45. My radical 45 does simplify, that's 9 times 5. Square root of 9 was 3, so I have 24 times 3, which would be 72. And then I still have my radical 5. I can do things that make it a little bit harder, like having to distribute or FOIL, but it's going to still be the exact same rules. So if I'm distributing here on number 7, radical 10 times 5 radical, first off, radical 10, radical 5, radical 2, none of those simplify. So radical 10 times 5 radical 5 would be 5 radical 50. Radical 10 times 2 radical 2 would be that negative 2 radical 20. Now my radical 50 I could break into radical 25 and radical 2, which would be 5 radical 2. So I have 25 radical 2 there. Here my radical 20 I could break into radical 4 and radical 5, which would be 2 radical 5. Again, don't forget that 2 out front. So that's minus 4 radical 5. Those are not like radicals, so they don't combine any more than that. Let's just do number 9, the foiling one. Radical 6, radical 2, none of those simplify. So I'm going to go straight to foiling. 6 radical 6 times radical 6 would be 6 radical 36. 6 radical 6 times radical 2 would be 6 radical 12. Looking at my inside terms here, negative 6 radical 2 times radical 6 would be negative 6 radical 12. And negative 6 radical 2 times radical 2 would be negative 6 radical 4. Now in this first term, the square root of 36 is 6. So I really have 6 times 6, which is 36. My square roots of 12, those do simplify, but actually 6 radical 12 minus 6 radical 12, those are going to cancel. Square root of 4 simplifies to 2, so I have minus 6 times 2, or minus 12. 36 minus 12 is 24. For a little bit of an application problem down here, we are looking at the area and perimeter of this rectangle. Remember that for area of a rectangle, it is length times width or base times height, so I am just multiplying these two. So I have 7 radical 6 plus radical 3 times 4 minus radical 6. I'm going to multiply just like I have above this. So 7 radical 6 times 4 is 28 radical 6. 7 radical 6 times a negative radical 6 is going to give me negative 7 radical 36. Radical 3 times 4 is 4 radical 3. And radical 3 times a negative radical 6 is a negative radical 18. Let's see, my radical 36 here simplifies to be 6. So I really have 7 times 6, that's a negative 42 there. Bring down my 28 radical 6. My 4 radical 3 does not simplify. My radical 18 would break into radical 9 and radical 2, which that's 3, so minus 3 radical 2. None of those are like radicals, so that does not simplify at all. Since it is area, I would say units squared there, but that's all I can do. For perimeter, remember you're adding up all the sides, or you're going to do 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. So I'm going to do either list out all these sides, or I'm going to list it as 2 times each of them. I personally think that listing them all out might actually be a little bit easier. So I'm going to do my 7 radical 6 plus radical 3, that's the left side, plus a 4 minus radical 6, that's the top, plus the right side is going to be 7 radical 6 plus radical 3, and then the bottom is going to be plus 4 minus radical 6. And then I can just combine my like radicals. So 7 radical 6 minus 1 radical 6 would be 6 radical 6, plus 7 radical 6 would be 13 radical 6, minus 1 radical 6 would be 12 radical 6. 4 plus 4 is 8. Oops, I skipped. And then the radical 3 plus radical 3 would be 2 radical 3. Those do not have to be written in a certain order, and that would just be units. They're not squared there. Sorry, plus 8. My apologies on that.